So all the members who enroll now will be eligible to be the office bearer of many committees which will be forming. So I suggest that all of you kindly take a time, take the form from the membership desk, fill it up. If you do not have check or cash to pay, please leave your contact detail into the form. We will intimate and get the RTGS done. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to the third technical session on innovations in technology. Our chairperson for this session is Shri Pradeep Chaturvedi, who is a mechanical engineer, is a chairman, Mechanical Engineering Division Board of Institute of Engineers and its council member. He is an internationally known energy expert. He has executed energy development projects for over 3 decades in Indian and Asian and Pacific countries, all under United Nations program. He is a fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineers, Institution of Engineers India, and All India Management Association. He received many awards and written 8 books on energy. Member of India's Energy Policy Committee and Drafting Committee of Electricity Bill, Energy Conservation Bill and Engineers Bill. Chaired studies under WEC and WFEO. May I now request the chairperson to kindly come on the dais, please. Our co-chairperson for this session is Ms. Sheetal Rakheja, co-chair IGBC Delhi. May I request Ms. Sheetal Rakheja to please come on the dais. We have 3 presentations lined up today. There would be a presentation by Everest Industries. Do we have a rep here of Everest Industries? I would like to invite our speaker, Shri Akhilesh Srivastava, Director Contracts, to please come on the dais. I would now invite Mr. Kamal Arora, Joint Director Design at ADG DNC Pune, to please come on the dais. We have a rep of Messrs. Everest Industries here. I would request him to come and kindly start with the presentation first before we hand over. Okay, I would request the chairperson and the co-chairperson to kindly, conduct the session now.
Welcome, friends. We now start this session. We have 2 eminent speakers, and I've been advised that they'll take about 10 minutes each. And we have the Everest Industries to make a presentation, but I think no one is so far here in the hall. If someone comes in, then we'll have the presentation. But before that, we'll have these 2 presentations. I'll request my co-chairperson to introduce the first speaker and request. Yes, Mr. Srivastava.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. Just a little brief introduction about myself. I am co-chair of Delhi IGBC chapter as well. And I'm also an architect who's been designing a lot of LEED Platinum, highly energy efficient buildings, and also responsible for designing India's first net zero energy house. And I believe that, innovation is a key for our future sustainable development. And we've been practicing it a lot in architecture, in engineering. And having said that, I'd like to introduce Mr. A.K. Srivastava, who is the Director, Contract and CER at Secunderabad, and is well known for his highest standards of professional skills and innovative ideas for improvement of contracting system and procedures of MES. He has been the key person in development and implementation of e-tendering in MES. He has been decorated with many awards for his dedicated works in his illustrious career. He delivers guest lectures in many departments and institutions like CPWD, MET, CME, NIC, and various MEC formations. He's currently making efforts for EMB, a revolutionary step for MES. So with that, I'd like to invite Mr. A.K. Srivastava to deliver his keynote.
Thank you, Chairperson and Co-Chairperson. And I will first thank the council members for organizing such a wonderful seminar. It's a very interactive, and since morning we are gaining experience while listening to various speakers. My topic to, right now will be slightly different, what we had been listening since morning, because this is a post-lunch session and I know a lot of you must be feeling drowsy. So I thought I will be discussing matters related to contracts, where I will be involving how we take a decision, how we lead to a decision making process in contracts. What I am going to talk to you will be, I will be taking you to the different dimension of the contract administration. Normally the contract administration, what we know is so management of man and material. Most of our executive, the August gathering of the engineers sitting here, they are all expert in their field. They have executed number of projects. But mostly you think the administration of a contract of a project is procuring the appropriate material in time, getting the contractor is putting the proper labor or workforce in time. But there is one more angle to this. That is the decision making. That decision making depends on so many aspects. I will be discussing those in the further few slides. Since it is a government agency, in the morning number of speakers told you that in government we are supposed to do the work through contracts. It's not in-house we are going to do the work. Contract for a government department has to be done in a befitting manner, where there is no scope for any ambiguity, there is no scope for any malpractices, or will try to minimize the things or loopholes as much as possible. For best execution of a contract, there has to be meeting of mind. The person has to focus. Actually, you see, I will be explaining in my next slide. The work is conceived by some commander. Let us say we are discussing the DIPM, Defense Infrastructure Projects. In this, the projects are conceived by any defense commander, or some our person visiting to a different country where they see some good training facility required for the defense forces. They are visualizing it, they conceive some idea, came here, discussed with the engineers, the engineer advisor, we sitting here. We now transform that his thinking into the reality on paper. And from this paper, a contract is made. A contractor is not that competent person technically, but he is having very high IQ for the business. So his thinking is different. He is taking a project in a different perspective. He is not exactly thinking what was initially conceived by the user. So there is a dichotomy, and actually is the contractor is the last person to execute the work? No, probably the work is being done by his supervisor and the workforce, who haven't seen that project which they are going to construct. So they are making in piecemeal, finally a project is made. So there is a perceptual difference that further I will be discussing. And then lastly I will come to you discuss in case of ambiguities which is bound to happen in a contract, what are the guidelines which takes you to take a firm decision, which help you in taking a decision. Those guidelines are nothing but I have jotted down the legally accepted norms. The courts, when a matter go to a court in case of arbitration, what are the parameter court finds to take a decision? So that will be very helpful to this August gathering of engineers, because if you know this in the beginning itself, these are the things which is to be seen by court also. So this you can very well tell at the beginning itself in case of any problem, discuss with the contractor, and it will facilitate you in taking correct decision at appropriate time. So administration of contract, as you all know, is 78% is basically execution, and you all are expert to this. I need not to highlight because there is a time restriction. Why some contract run into trouble? If contract is running fine and the thing is delivered on ground, absolutely no issues. But number of contract leads to problems. What is the reason for that? That I try to point it out. There are a number of issues like perceptual difference. There is a poor drafting of tender. There is ambiguity in the tender. There may be retaliatory attitude or ego problem of the executive and the contractor which develops subsequently. Those things. But these take a heavy toll because these leads to arbitration and court cases. And as per the statistics of 2011, more than 1,38,000 crore rupees are blocked in the various court cases or arbitration cases. By this time, it probably might have crossed 2 lakh crore. This is a huge government money, and this can be avoided if a contract is properly administered, or a decision which is required to be given in time are given in time by the authorities who are responsible for it. This is what I was trying to discuss with you. As I already narrated it. What is ambiguity in a contract? A contract or provision is known as ambiguous if it is leading to more than one interpretation. If something is written in contract ambiguously, or it is giving to scope, but who decides it is giving meaning to 2 reasons? What court say about it? The court is also in ambiguity. See the court, there are 2 sets of courts. First set of code is saying, in case of ambiguity, it will be read by an objective reader. Objective means he is having no concern with this. He is probably layman. If he finds out what is the actual meaning, then it will be known as ambiguous. And the court itself is ambiguous. Second set of code says it is to be read by the person who is expert in the trade. What I am trying to highlight you, the things are not exactly similar. It's like arithmetic. The contract is it's a complicated issue where court himself gets divided a number of, number of judgments given by various courts. 3 judge bench has given some judgment which is overruled by a 5 judge bench. Do you mean all those 3 judge bench were not competent enough? So some new matter comes, so 5 judge bench. Similarly, you see number of cases. Lower court gives some decision reversed by the High Court. Further, it is reversed by the Supreme Court. So these are the complex issues, and out of these I have jotted down some points. We'll be discussing it. But a provision will not be merely for the sake of ambiguity. Suppose somebody doesn't like and he say it is ambiguous, so that is not ambiguous. If the meaning is clear, it is. I will give in some examples to narrate it practically. What is an ambiguity? Say a contract where in Schedule A you are all MES executives. If in a Schedule A notes it is given in the item description construction of a single story building, all as shown in drawings, whereas your drawing says 2-story building, which is to be followed? Our conditions, general conditions says Schedule A takes precedence, it will be followed. But what about drawing that says it is a double-story building? And the reinforcement, everything is designed for that.
Schedule A part 1 will govern as per our all other things are secondary.
With the permission of chairman, sir, I will be taking slightly more time because just to interact with them, a minute or more. 2-3 cases, absolutely perfect. There is a divided. There has to be divided opinion about it. What courts say? Courts say the simple and plain meaning has to be taken, and whatever precedence given in contract has to be followed. That means Schedule A in our contract itself is written that Schedule A takes precedence over drawing. So Schedule A takes precedence. If you go to a court will decide in favor of the contractor. He will say, okay, you make only single story. If you are interested for double story, pay him extra for that. This is the generally court. But this is not, we will be thinking, as an engineer will say he must have quoted, he must have seen the drawing, estimated accordingly but quoted. But the law takes it differently. Number 2, now I reverse it. You say the contract Schedule A says construction of double-story building and drawing says single story. Now what is to be followed? Again Schedule A will takes precedence because your drawing is only for single story. You don't have a reinforcement showing double story. So now the second story will be made by contractor free of cost because it is written in Schedule A notes. No, drawing can be subsequently given. A supplementary drawing can be given. But will it be payable to contractor or not?
As per our general conditions, schedule A part 1 text specifications.
You involved with.
So this is the general, you're absolutely right, but there is a rule, there is known as rule of contra referendum, which is which says if there is ambiguity in contract, the decision will be given, judgment will be given against the drafter, because otherwise I will be very clever. I will make the drawing of 6-story building and write cleverly in schedule a note, construction of a 3-story building. And I will say the contractor, you have see the drawings, I have given 6 stories, so you make 6-story building. Some fool chap will be caught reading this only without turning the drawing. He will quote for 3-story and he will be fixed. On the same analogy, second time again, we are not supposed to, as it is for drawings, it is only for single story. Now let us say one more ambiguity.
Because many people talk to us about.
In a contract, there were 2 separate buildings of 60 single JCOs. There you are supposed to provide built-in furniture with each Jawan staying area. Built-in furniture means nothing but lockers and one study foldable study table. These were shown in the plan. There were 2 items because both buildings are exactly for the 60 JCOs only, but one is with cookhouse, so the 2 different items. The plinth area of second building was more, the rest remains same. In one, notes also says the contractor has to provide built-in furniture, all as shown on plan. But in one plan it is shown, in second it is not shown. The contractor can ask DO for this.
Wherever, whichever drawing you are following where it is shown.
Sir, there he will not ask.
Automatically.
There it is, but second where it is not shown he will ask.
Where it is not shown and you are providing, you have to make payment. Extra.
But then generally we put a
Because it
clause in
says
the
as shown
contract.
on the drawing. In drawing it is not shown.
Yeah, one view.
We put a clause in the contract, if whatever details are shown in one building, if the similar buildings are there, same details will be followed.
It is drafting different, okay? Na?
If there is no such condition, sir, I will go. I will go further. Yes, yes. It can be always in 2 ways. So what I was trying to highlight is the ambiguous things. So taking decision in a contract is slightly tricky. It's a tricky issue. It's not a straight 2 + 2 is going to be 4. A lot of things has to be taken, and that's why the court has laid down the rules, to which I will be coming. So I was just making a preamble how we take decision. Similarly, in another contract, these are 2-3 examples I am just quoting to sensitize your mind. This is in a contract, 5-ton crane is to be provided. The contractor has quoted his rates 12.5 lakh rupees. In one small note in PSA written that crane is inclusive of the gantry girder. Okay, if gantry girder is 2 meter, fine, cost maybe 1.5 lakh, you can force. But what happens if the span is 30 meter and the cost is coming 40 lakh rupees? Will this 40 lakh will be deemed to be included in 12.5 lakh rupees? Certainly not. Here we have to be, these decisions, how these decisions are taken, this is what I will be coming.
I think you have already done 15 minutes, so.
I am sorry.
Now
sir.
you have to
So-
really close rather
Sir,
than
sir.
to.
So I will not be
restart.
delaying. These are the things. I am sorry. That's why. There are certain guidelines for interpretation. This is not the simply we are taking. So I will straightway come to what are the legally accepted rules for interpretation of contract. Over a period of time, number of courts has given various judgments. So now court are also confused. So court has codified the things. What are the things they are going to rely on? Like if in all other cases, some courts are given. If there is a crime, this is the punishment. So similarly, they have also codified. Those are lengthy things, but I have summarized this and made in a simpler language for the understanding of the general audience or our expert engineers. Like if there are natural and ordinary meaning will be construed by the court. If there is an ambiguity, the natural or the simple meaning which is coming out of the thing, like single story, this will be this is the ruling of the court, that will be followed strictly. Technical meaning, like something is written in M, the contractor says some direction size is given 10 M, so the engineering meaning is 10 meters. Contractor can't say it is a 10 millimeter, I am going to provide only 10. So these are the technical meaning which will be followed. Similarly, the local custom and uses. If an item is number of things we take from the local customs, like Nehru finish, Nahla, all those things. If something is written, contractor cannot say, sir, I do not know Nahla, what is Niru Finish, I am not going to provide. But this will be deemed as part of the contract. These are also the local practices available to that. Reasonable and favorable meaning. This is very obvious. If some meaning is taken to the correct, reasonable, it will be like in drawing, if it is shown as 100 mm. Instead of 100 mm, it is shown as 100 meter size of a beam, M. So does it mean it will be 100 meter wide beam? So that cannot be. So this can be corrected. This is what court says. If word and figure, you all know the word will take precedence. Detailed word, deleted word or alteration. Deleted words means unilaterally cannot be deleted. Contract has been done, but prior to acceptance, none of the parties can change or delete any word on their own. But if they are both agreeing to sign, then it becomes alteration, which is acceptable by the courts. General and specific provision need not to elaborate. Obviously, specific provision, if given for something, it will be taking precedence. Antecedent fact or the correspondence. What does it mean? Suppose some deal or some negotiation has taken place before conclusion of contract, that if you accept my contract, I will be executing work only when such and such payment of work is made. That is the court doesn't mean anything. Court says what is written in contract, you take that is the correct meaning. Clerical mistakes, if there, it can be corrected for some work in Delhi. If it is written by mistake Dev Road or Dehradun, so this is a clerical mistake. The contractor is quoting here, the rest of the things are showing Delhi only. So those mistakes can be corrected. Similarly, the implied terms. The meaning of a term which is not written in the contract in an express way, but it is implied. Like once a contract is there, the G has to appoint engineer in charge. This is implied. Contractor has to give a reasonable quality of work. That is all implied by them. So this is not written, but these are implied meanings. Inconsistent or repugnant clause. If there are two clauses exactly opposite to each other, the one has to be deleted. And which is to be deleted? Which is actually making the contract impossible. Alternate method of to perform a promise. If two methods are given, then the choice rests with the contractor. We cannot force the contractor, no, out of this you follow this. If we are forcing, then we are honestly increasing the things. Gentlemen, this was the certain thing. These points were detailed in various judgments. I have jotted down from these, and had the time been there, I could have discussed further to it. But with this, I end this. But why I was trying to discuss here, if you are aware of this, then at the appropriate time you can deliver the proper decision. You can give the decision, because administration of contract is not only man material procurement. It is giving decision rightly at appropriate time also. So if you give correct decision and fearlessly, because you know that this is what, if suppose goes to court, there is a decision going to be there. So that makes you confident in taking your decision. That was my aim to give this presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Although I have been sitting on arbitration on many cases and with many judges, so if I go by those decisions, I find that there are different opinions from what you have, the way you have interpreted, and there are general understanding of the contract and the way the contract is written out.
Yes.
So many of these things will not be left out in the contract, and even if the contract is drafted and the other party, the contractor, says I have objections and gives it in writing,
Exactly.
and those objections are considered and incorporated appropriately, they'll still stand the validity, because most of the government contracts are really signed when the contract is over. It is just a formality which you sign the contract then. So if
we make it initially.
no, I'm saying that's okay. But in any of these things, someone raised the objection initially, those objections got to be really addressed, and then only the contract is signed. The contract wouldn't be signed without.
In our department, sir, it is negotiation is strictly not permitted. So we go with L1 only. That's implemented.
Fine. No, I'm just saying that there are many of those court decisions where they say, and for objective, the first slide you said that objective means someone who is an outsider. I mean, it's not that objective. Again, objective decision of the, when they say, it has to be a knowledgeable person. A person who is independent, not involved in it, but who should be, he has to be, no, that's okay, I'm saying, it has to be knowledgeable, it just cannot be, he's just independent, but he is not from that area. You can't just pick up and he says, oh, I'm independent, I'll give the opinion.
Like judges are doing arbitration. Judges are having no engineering background.
No, fine, we'll go further. Okay.